Hey guys, so I finally got editing software. Watch this. Now I'm wearing pants. So, yeah, last week I didn't put out a review. I'm sorry guys, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I need to do a review every week and I will. It was the holidays and I wasn't feeling well, and I'm sorry. But I was able to see the Hateful Eight this weekend. And one thing I gotta say is Quentin Tarantino is the most unique director out there right now in Hollywood. He has the pull to do things that other directors can't, and he has the artistry to make it really, really good. So, The Hateful Eight. What is this film? This film is about a group of people who get stranded in a cabin in the middle of a blizzard. And you get the sense, oh, things are going wrong. We're not sure who's who. Maybe some of these people are liars. They're definitely all hateful. But you're trying to kind of figure things out. Then halfway through the movie, it kind of switches. I will get to that later. But right now, what is good about this movie? It's a very beautiful film. Quentin Tarantino chose to shoot this on 70mm film. And it's gorgeous. It looks different than other films. It looks more old school. But it doesn't have like lower resolution. It just looks a little bit different. And it feels older, which goes with the times of this movie. This is set shortly after the Civil War. And speaking of which, one of the big things about this is you have the main character who's black, and you have people who fought on the Confederate side. And there's a lot of interplay between so many of these characters. And it's really intense. Like, there's a lot of suspense in this film. Even when it's going slow, there is usually a feeling of something approaching. This does not ever feel boring, to me at least. And that's because the characters and the dialogue is so good. All these characters, they're all hateful, like you would suspect in a movie called The Hateful Eight, but they're all complex. It's not like they're hateful just for the sake of being hateful. You get the sense that these are all fully fleshed out characters. And that really has to do with the dialogue. The dialogue in this film is amazing. Almost every line is quotable. The dialogue was so good, and this is a very funny film, mostly because of the dialogue. But it's gallows humor. It's dark humor. This is not like a knock-knock joke kind of humor. This is more like dead baby joke kind of humor. It's rough. A lot of it is really racist, too. So if that's something that offends you, you gotta be careful. Speaking of things that offend you, I'm gonna move on to the bad stuff now, and then the questionable stuff. Okay, so there are some bad things. For one thing, this is a very slow movie for the first half of it. There's good dialogue, there's definitely stuff there, there's beautiful images, but I do think the first half of this film goes slower than it needs to, especially for a 3-hour movie. And that did kind of bother me, especially since after that first half is over, it just switches on a dime, and suddenly it's just boom, knocking it at you. Like, this movie goes from, oh, intriguing, Oh, I see it too. Oh, fuck, everything's revealed now. It's just, the moment I felt like I was starting to get a good read on exactly what was going on, everything suddenly just goes from 0 to 60. So the mystery element gets wiped out, like, halfway through the film. And I thought, especially if you're going to go for such a long movie, maybe that's one of the aspects that should have got more attention, is that mystery. Now, also, these are the most unlikable characters you will ever see in a good movie. These people are all terrible in one way or another. Like I said, it's shortly after the Civil War, and the main character is black. So guess what? There's going to be the N-word. A lot! Not as much as Django Unchained, although if you just had like an hour-and-a-half movie where all they did was say the N-word, I'm not sure it would surpass Django Unchained. But this movie, it feels like Quentin Tarantino is trying to set a record for most N-words used in film. So, yeah, if that makes you uncomfortable, there's plenty of other stuff that makes you uncomfortable in this. There is a scene that is really, really hard in this movie, and it's basically a monologue, and it's just hard to sit through. It was one of the harder scenes to sit through this year for me, or for, like, ever. I don't watch a lot of, like, horrible, like, bad stuff movies, because I get uncomfortable fairly easy, and I did get uncomfortable in this. I mean, for me, it's there's certain things that I just find difficult. But now, on to what I think are sort of debatable things. The things that I think will really change whether you want to go see this film or not. The first thing is, obviously, if you don't like Quentin Tarantino, don't see this. His style's all over this, as usual, so if you don't like him, don't go see it. The other big things are intense gore. The gore in this is extremely intense. And what I mean by that, it's not like one of those horror films where there will randomly be like an ocean of blood or something, and there's just a lot of blood and gore. No, like, the gore in this is used in a way that makes the film more disturbing. There's not necessarily that much blood, but when it's used in the most disturbing way possible. So if you can't handle gore, don't go see this. I'm warning you right there. This is a darker film than I think Quentin Tarantino's ever done. This might be his darkest film. And so, especially if you can't handle dark films, like, seriously, dude, when I say this is his darkest film that I've seen, that's saying a lot. His most light-hearted film is probably Kill Bill. So, if you can't handle dark, don't go see this. The ending is a little open-ended, and I thought it was disappointed, because I wanted to see what happened afterwards. I wanted to see what happened later on, and I'm not sure. Like, there's two ways to look at what happens at the end, and I can't say more, but I wanted an answer. And open ending, not bad for me. I don't mind that much. But this one kind of bothered me, if you think about it. So, you know, that's just kind of a minor thing, but it might affect your decision. And, you know, overall, the only reason you shouldn't go see this is because it's really goddamn disturbing. So, I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. This movie is very memorable. The dialogue is very good. Everything is really interesting. The only thing that I would say about this movie that might cause you not to want to go see it is there's a lot of disturbing imagery, especially with the gore. And, you know, if you don't like Quentin Tarantino, obviously don't go see it. Anyway, guys, what's your favorite Quentin Tarantino film? Mine is Reservoir Dogs. That's one of my favorite films of all time. Alright, guys, Happy New Year. Bye-bye.